In this video, we are going to discuss about the chapter Economic Importance of Bacteria and Fungi. So let's start. As we know that bacteria are the primitive organisms which are made up of single cells. All the bacteria are made up of single cells. And in bacteria, the genetic material is dispersed in the central region of the cytoplasm, and that genetic material is without a nuclear membrane also. The bacteria are having genetic material inside the cytoplasm without a nuclear membrane. Such type of organisms are called prokaryotes, means they lack a true nucleus. If they are not having a true nucleus, it means they are not having a nuclear membrane, and their genetic material is present within the cytoplasm, and they are called prokaryotes. According to the 5 kingdoms classification, bacteria are not plants. The reason being that bacteria are prokaryotic. Prokaryotic means they are having a cell without nucleus and without nuclear membrane. They are single-celled organisms instead of eukaryotic organisms. Eukaryotic organisms are the one which is having specific nucleus. And we have just now understood that the bacteria are without nucleus and without nuclear membrane. That is why they are called prokaryotic and not eukaryotic. Moving on further, let's have the general study of bacteria. That bacteria are the most primitive unicellular organisms. Most of the bacteria, they are having a single cell and they are having a single chromosome, and that chromosome which is not enclosed in the nuclear membrane. This shows that bacteria are most primitive unicellular organisms. Moving on further, bacteria are several thousands of their species. There are several species of bacteria which may occur in air, water, soil, food, and even inside the body organisms. Even in our body, there are hundreds and thousands of bacteria in the mouth, on the skin, inside the intestine, in the genital tract, etc. This shows that bacteria are everywhere in and on the body of an organism. Some bacteria, such as bacteria which are in the intestine, they are helpful for us. They synthesize certain vitamins and help us. They synthesize certain vitamins and they help us. While some bacteria are harmful, and harmful bacteria can cause certain types of diseases. They are harmful to us and they can cause many sort of diseases. So we have learned that bacteria can be helpful to us or bacteria can be harmful to us. Certain bacteria are helpful and certain bacteria are harmful. A study shows that there are more bacteria living on the skin than the total number of humans living on the earth. This shows that bacteria are very minute, they are very small, and their number is so large, and they prevent the growth of harmful bacteria also. Some are useful, some are harmful. Some bacteria kills the harmful bacteria. Moving on further, let's study about the size of the bacteria. It can be having an average size of 2 micrometer up to 0.5 micrometers thick. Depending on the shape, the bacteria can be spherical in shape, they are called cocci. They can be rod in shape, they are called bacilli. They can be spiral or twisted, they can be named as spirilla. And some are just like comma shaped of English and they are called vibrio. If the bacteria are of spherical shape, they are called cocci. If the bacteria are of rod shape, they are called bacilli. If the bacteria are of spiral shape, they are called spirally. If they are of comma shape, they are called vibri. And if any bacteria lives singly, but some occurs in pairs also. If the bacteria lives in pair, it is called di. And if it lives in a chain, it is called strepto. And if it lives in a cluster, it is called staphylum. Now, if the spherical bacteria live in pairs, they are called diplococci. If the spherical bacteria live in long chain, they are called streptococci. If the spherical bacteria live in clusters, they are called staphylococci. Similarly, if the rod-shaped bacteria, if they live in a pair, they will be called diplobacilli. If the rod-shaped bacteria live in long chain, they will be called streptobacilli. If the rod-shaped bacteria lives in cluster, then they will be called as staphylobacilli. And similarly, the further names of spirilla and vibrio can be made up. Moving on further, let's study the structure. Each individual bacterium is a simple cell. It contains a substance in it that is called protoplasm. Protoplasm is lying within the cell membrane and it is surrounded by a non-living stiff wall called cell wall. And this cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan, and it is not made up of cellulose as in plants. In plants, cell wall is made up of cellulose, while in bacteria, it is made up of peptidoglycan. Looking to the structure, this is the structure of a bacteria, and we have understood that bacteria is containing protoplasm in it. Here it's written protoplasm. Bacteria is having protoplasm inside the body. We have also studied that the outer layer is called cell membrane. Inside the cell membrane is a structure called cytoplasm. And outside the cell membrane, this dark black color, that is the cell wall, and the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. Moving on further, let's study about its cell membrane. The cell membrane is thin and it is beneath the cell wall and covers up the cytoplasm. We have read that bacteria don't have nucleus, means there is no well-defined nucleus. And we have also read that the DNA, that is the genetic material, it is present inside the cytoplasm, means it is at the central region, not inside the nucleus, but inside the bacteria. This genetic material which is inside the bacteria, this chromatin material is in the form of single circle, and we have already read that it is not enclosed in a nuclear membrane, but it may be attached to some points at the cell membrane. You can see here that this is the genetic material which is highlighted by the cursor, and at this point it is attached to the cell membrane. This is the genetic material, and genetic material is called bacterial chromosome, and it is present inside the bacteria without any nuclear membrane, without any nucleus in it, and it is attached to the cell membrane. This is the structure of bacteria. The cytoplasm, which is inside the bacteria, it may contain vacuole, it may contain granules. In some cases, it may also contain chlorophyll. Just outside the bacteria, it's a protective layer, and that protective layer is called capsule, and that is present outside the cell wall. The outermost region of this bacteria is called the capsule. Moving on further, bacteria cannot move of their own. They can't move, but they are transported from one place to another. They are transported with the help of wind, they are transported with the help of water, or they can be transported with the help of another contact. Some of the bacteria may possess a whip-like structure that is called flagella. Just look here. This is the whip-like structure around which the cursor is moving. This is the flagellum or flagella. Very few bacteria possess this flagellum. Not all the bacteria possess flagellum. Only few bacteria possess flagellum. And this is a whip-like structure of the bacteria. This whip-like structure, it helps in the movement in some bacteria by the lashing movement. So we can say that in some bacteria, flagella provide active locomotion to the bacteria. Moving on further about the nutrition, most of the bacteria don't have chlorophyll. Therefore, they depend upon ready-made material from other sources. If they are not having chlorophyll, it means they cannot manufacture their own food, and they have to be dependable on the another sources. And the organisms which depends upon the other sources, they are called heterotrophic. So we can say that the chlorophylls may have heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Some bacteria may contain chlorophyll. It's very rare. It's very rare that some bacteria may contain chlorophyll, but most of the bacteria do not have chlorophyll, and therefore they are heterotrophic in mode of nutrition. This mode can be categorized into two subgroups. The first is saprotrophic, which means they can draw the nutrition from the dead organisms. And the second is parasitic. Parasitic means they can get the nutrition from the body of the living hosts. If bacteria depends upon the dead organisms, the nutrition is called saprotrophic. And if bacteria depends upon living organisms, their nutrition is called parasitic. Some bacteria secretes powerful enzymes from their cells into the surroundings food material. These enzymes make the food material soluble in it. And when that food material gets soluble in the enzymes, then they are reabsorbed as a solution into the bacterial cell. Hence, bacteria draws its nutrition by pouring out or secreting powerful enzymes on the food material and then dissolving it and then absorbing it in the form of solution. Bacteria perform a phenomena known as respiration. They perform respiration by absorbing oxygen from the atmosphere. And this respiration is called aerobic respiration. While some bacteria don't get oxygen, and the respiration without oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. The bacteria which perform anaerobic respiration, they get killed when they are exposed to air or when they get oxygen. So the bacteria which require oxygen, they are called aerobic bacteria, and the bacteria which don't require oxygen, their respiration is anaerobic and are called anaerobic bacteria. And thing to remember here is that anaerobic bacteria, when they are given or when they are exposed to air, they get killed, they die. Moving on further, let's study the reproduction of the bacteria. Bacteria can reproduce only by asexual means of reproduction, which is division or cell division. Division or cell division means dividing a cell into two. The DNA material, which is genetic material, it duplicates, it divides into two. You can see in the diagram here that in the first diagram, the single genetic material is there. In the second diagram, there are two genetic material, the material has divided. And in the third diagram, you can see that the genetic material is separating apart. Now, it means that the DNA has duplicated. And the cell expands. When the cell expands, the DNA are pulled apart. The DNA gets separated. And a constriction appears in between the two cells. Now you can see here, small constriction starts appearing. A furrow is being made up of. Here also you can see a furrow is made up. Means it starts dividing. And it finally, you can see that a cell divides into two, means a bacteria divides into two, and the two bacteria contain its individual DNA or genetic material. Hence, the bacteria divides into two daughter cells, and each daughter cell contains its independent genetic material, and now they are called independent bacteria cells. Moving on further, we have to learn that bacteria reproduce very fast. The only thing is they produce very fast. In 24 hours, one bacteria can produce this much bacteria. It's a very huge number. Moving on further, the highly primitive type of bacteria, they may show sexual reproduction. In this method, in sexual method, the bacteria of two different strains but of same species comes together and they conjugate. Means they comes together and they join its membranes to each other. The plasmid or the circular DNA of the donor of one bacteria is transferred into recipient, means another bacteria, through a hollow tube-like extension. This means that the two bacteria come close together and they transfer its DNA from one bacteria to the another. Now let's see bacterial conjugation with the help of an video. Here you can see the upper is the F positive mean donor cell, the lower is the F negative recipient, and both combines together with the help of a tube. This red colored is the genetic material, and this genetic material opens up, and this DNA is transferred to the another bacteria with the help of this tube. Now you will see the genetic material is transferred from one strain of bacteria to the another strain with the help of a tube. And genetic material is transferred from one bacteria into the second bacteria, and there it replicates into two. Here the bacteria is having the genetic material of the another bacteria, and in both the bacterias the genetic material again divides into two, and hence the sexual reproduction has occurred. So this was the video to show bacterial conjugation. Moving on further, let's study how bacteria survives in unfavorable conditions. Bacteria forms spores to overcome unfavorable conditions. When unfavorable conditions arrive, means such as drying of the vegetation, the bacteria cells draws its contents into the spherical mass, which becomes surrounded by a thick and a hard protective wall. This little rounded body is now called spore, which is contained within the original cell wall. Let's see this thing with the help of a video. Here you can see a bacteria which has genetic material in it, and this genetic material is the mother cell, and this genetic material gets surrounded by a layering, and it is surrounded within the mother cell. Here you can see the genetic material is surrounded by a protective layer. This protective layering, this structure is called a spore. Now, this spore can survive in unfavorable conditions. There is no harm to this spore. These spore can well survive in the unfavorable conditions. It will not get destroyed. When the favorable conditions arrive, then this spore again changes into living bacteria and gets starting its taking the nourishment from the another sources. So survival under unfavorable conditions by forming this protective layer is called spores. When favorable conditions arrive, these spores breaks up and the bacteria again starts getting nutrition and growing and reproducing. This spore can help in tolerating extreme dryness of the bacteria. The spore formation helps bacteria not to be killed up at different temperatures such as boiling water or frozen ice. Spores can tolerate poisonous chemicals too, and hence they survive in unfavorable conditions. These spores can be carried out by several means like wind and water from one place to another, and on again getting favorable conditions, the spore again germinates and the protoplasm again becomes active, and the DNA becomes active and the bacteria streams out of the ruptured wall in the form of new bacteria. As you have seen in the video, here also you can see the spore formation inside the bacterial wall for the unfavorable conditions. That's all in today's video.